take this thing off.
We are live.
Oh, well, you're live, and I'm just
We're
showing
live.
up. It's okay.
It's
All
okay.
right,
Hi, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm good.
I just said hello again. I know we already said hello, but now we live, so I'm saying
Now we're live, so we have to say hello
now we
again.
are like saying officially hello. All right,
Yes.
so we are here. Today is a special day because we are going to be doing or you are going to be doing your magic on Katina.
Yes.
And she's excited, and I'm really excited to see what transpires.
Mm-hmm.
But while we wait for Katina to join us, I know. Like, can you please introduce yourself again?
Okay.
You've done
I
this
can't.
before, but
Yes.
so you please
Yeah.
introduce yourself again. Yeah.
Okay. So, my name is Yolessa, as you can see, Yolessa
Yes.
Lawrence, and I am the director at Sedona Healing Arts. I created a program called 28 Day Awakening to Spirit Cleanse, which is kind of a spiritual detox, much more than just on a physical level. It's designed to change your life, get before and after, a before and after experience that kind of revolutionizes, your energies. So that's basically my introduction,
Okay.
um, my elevator speech.
I never understood. Okay. All right. So you are here. Actually, like, this is a funny story. Last time I was in Sedona, I planned to go surprise Ulysses at her shop. And I had this
Oh,
whole idea in my mind that, oh, I'm going to surprise Ulysses, and we are going to do a Facebook Live together from her shop. And the
mm-hmm.
surprise was on me. Ulysses wasn't there. I should have thought about that.
I know. Oh, the surprise was on you. Yes.
The surprise was on me. All right, so but we are here now. Katina is here. I'm going to add her also. Hi, Katina. How are you?
Hi,
Ooh.
I'm wonderful. Hi, ladies. How y'all
Ooh,
doing?
nice to see you.
It's good to
Whoa.
see you guys too.
Yes. All right. So we are here. This is the first time I have three people on the Facebook Live. I wonder what it looks like. Anyways, so Katina, you are here. Are you excited?
I'm excited and I'm nervous. 'Cause
I
I know some stuff is gonna come up.
I understand. I understand why you're nervous, but you know, yes, I should be gentle. Not.
I know. I know.
I'm gonna do my best. Both of you are laughing.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
She's going to do her best to be gentle. All right. So, Katina,
Yeah.
can you please introduce yourself very quickly?
Hi, my name is Katina Jenkins. I live in actually Texas, Dickinson, Texas, small town in Texas. So I'm excited to be here. I met Dehesa and Yolessa through doing the spiritual cleanse. So I'm excited. We made a connection.
You didn't meet me through the spiritual
No,
cleanse.
well, I met you online through your 0 point. That's okay. Sorry.
Just messing with me, just messing with you. Okay, so today what we're going to do, or what Yolesa is going to be doing with Katina, is doing part of what she does, like the magic that she does during the spiritual cleanse, which is emotional mapping. It's so super powerful. Like this was one of my favorite part, right? This is one of my favorite part of the cleanse. But before we get there, do you have time, Katina? You
Do I
have,
have time?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Teresa was going to share with us her experience. How, like, I actually didn't know this about her for a very, very long time. How she had scoliosis and how detoxing regularly helped her completely heal her scoliosis.
Well,
Against,
I mean, I still have a little bit of scoliosis.
okay, has a slide.
Yeah, I still have some scoliosis.
But you
But
and I had a conversation yesterday when you shared with me how, like, from the doctor's perspective back then, by the time you are 40, you are, and which you are now, you have had
yeah,
all these debilitating things happening with your body, but that's not the case for you at all. Can you share with us a little bit? First of all, like what it
Yeah,
was
sure.
like?
I can.
Yeah.
Let me share a little bit of the history. So I had surgery when I was 11 years old. I have a rod in my spine. I was given a kind of a fusion in my thoracic spine when I was 11 years old because my scoliosis was about 80 or 90 degrees. So I really was like this.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, quite severely. And I wore a brace for many years as a child. And typically, when somebody has scoliosis, some of the symptoms they experience, they're going to have a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain, deformity. You're going to appear, obviously, especially if you have a higher degree of scoliosis, you appear obviously deformed, actually. So it's a deformity. Um, Usually, like things like sports, being able to use your body are difficult. I even had people say, like, for example, like doctors who were like, you wouldn't be able to have children, all
Look at
kinds of,
you now.
yeah, all kinds of things. And that's because when the spine is curved like that, the organs become distorted. Some are going to get squashed, like they're not in their proper places or whatnot, so they don't function uh, optimally. And so, it was sort of expected that, it's been some 30 years now, and sort of expected that there would be degeneration, obviously, in the spinal column of the disc, and ultimately when the, the, the stuff, what do you call it? The, the material that exists between the discs, when it erodes completely away, then they're kind of rubbing against each other. You have pain, and that ultimately it would result in another fusion or more surgeries. And the truth is, most people I have known who had scoliosis like me, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. And they do become debilitated, and they do many times have trouble walking, as they get older. Like, they end up bedridden with other illnesses as well. So I've seen that. Um, but so for me, I was always looking for a solution. Um, I think my scoliosis was part of the reason that I was um, so persistent in searching in other holistic areas, because I really couldn't find hope from, honestly, the medical profession when I went to doctors. It was always like, there's nothing to be done, or you're going to eventually have to have more surgeries. In fact, there's one time I went to get my rod out. Good idea or bad idea. No doctor was willing to touch my spine.
Wow.
No doctor was willing to see me. I remember like sitting in the parking lot and just having like a nervous breakdown and just crying, feeling helpless because nobody was willing to help me. And really, they didn't have any other alternative suggestions either. It wasn't like, try this or even try anything. So anything that I eventually tried was because I researched it or just intuited it. So very interestingly, when I started detoxing, um, something very interesting happened. I think that I would not have predicted would happen. And when I first started detoxing, it wasn't because I had scoliosis. It was maybe other symptoms that were related to my scoliosis, or other reasons why I started detoxing, energetic wellness reasons. But when I started, my spine, very interestingly, started to shift. And it was
How
very
long?
painful.
Yeah. How long? May I ask? How long did it take before you started noticing that?
Within about 6 months of me really, really doing like the cleanse the way that I teach it now, within 6 months, um, there was a major shift in my spine. Major shift.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it, I realized when it shifted that something that nobody had been able to explain to me, which was that the organs, it's actually when the organs are not functioning properly and they become congested, they they push against the spinal cord. So say your liver becomes heavily congested or your kidneys begin to swell or expand and they're taking up more space than they should in your body, they start to push against the and squash basically the spine, causing the curvature or other spinal issues. Actually, even other spinal issues
Yes.
that people have besides scoliosis. And when the organs finally become cleansed, all that pressure is relieved. Um, and the spine can go back to its correct position, and so can the organs. Nobody, no doctor, nobody ever explained that to me. It was a revelation, but later on, it was sort of validated and confirmed when I spent a lot of time in the East, in Asia, by I guess Asian doctors, not doctors like medical doctors, but who
Holistic.
specialize,
Yeah.
yeah, who
Holistic.
specialize
Yeah.
in uh, ancient, 5 element oriented medicine. That yes, in fact, that is what happens to the spine when the organs become congested.
Yeah.
So I experienced that, and so I realized that. What my scoliosis was the result of a nutritional deficiency and a very serious nutritional deficiency as a child, and as well as deep mucus accumulation congestion that developed, and emotional trauma, all those things combined together. And so my spine went back. I do. And then also it eradicated all my pain.
Wow.
And I do believe that had I not had surgery, had I not had a rod in my spine, I think my spine would have been fully corrected.
Wow. But
Yeah.
so you still have it until now, up until now.
Oh yeah, like I still have a rod,
Yeah.
because nobody wants to take it out.
Look it out. All right, let me say hello to everyone that is watching. Hi,
Yeah.
Valerie from Ireland. Hello, Rashida. Hello, Pauline. Hello, Yelena. So, So Pauline says, happy to learn about this as I have scoliosis. Oh, Pauline has scoliosis. Okay, not so bad, but have had and still have issues. Okay. All right, good. I hope this actually is very helpful to you. And it's all about organs, right? Uh,
Yes.
Cynthia says, I have a spinal stenosis. Do you know what that
Stenosis.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah, do
Spinal
you know what that
stenosis.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like yesterday you told me that it actually has everything to do with the condition of organs, right? And does that go with every element that we have in our body, right?
Yeah.
And this is so intriguing to me because I realize how every single emotion affects like specific organs in a specific way. Not only
Yes.
specific organs, but also specific points of our brain in a very specific way.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when we have patterns that may even be like generational when it comes to certain like emotional patterns or certain things that happens in our life, like we just have it and sometimes we don't even understand why we're acting that way. It's definitely, that's what, like when I look at it now and I think about it now, I'm like, oh, actually that's what genetics means.
Yes, that's what genetics means.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what genetics means because it just means that information is creating certain patterns the kind of information that you are carrying is like making you like stuck in certain patterns or certain emotional habits and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that is what creates the condition in your body, because every
Yes.
emotion, every thought, every behavior, every habit, all this affects every single part of our body. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's how it works. Yeah. That's
yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Cynthia, hello. Facebook, very helpful. Okay. So somehow I see. Okay, Pauline says very helpful. Thank you for sharing your lesson. Hi, Syria. Syria. I hope I said your name right. Hi, Syria. All right. So are you ready now? Katina is watching and ready,
Yes.
emotional mapping. So now I'm just going to sit back and watch you do your magic. Are you ready, both?
I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready.
Yeah. So I'm ready to start if
My
Katina's
pen
ready.
and paper.
You're
Okay.
right. Yeah.
All right. Um, so my first question is always when you sort of volunteered to come on today, was there a specific something that you were wanting to address?
Um, like I have a lot to address, but I like what
Okay.
lately I know I've been doing a lot of emotional work and a lot of cleansing and stuff like that. And so I went to an acupuncturist. I've been going to acupuncturist for the past 3 months. And what he basically told me is my body is full of sadness and anger. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I've been told this many times. So my thing is, I want to try to. It's like, how do I let go of this anger and sadness? Because I don't want to be that way, but it seems like I'm always taking on other people's stuff, and so I'm just like, "Ugh," you know. So I'm just open to the process of today. So that's kind of basically where I am with that.
Okay, I want to ask you because almost immediately when you were talking, I felt your heart, and I want to ask you about the condition of your heart, um, or your chest. Your Do you sometimes feel like your heart is beating fast, or like how's this area for you?
Sometimes it'll beat off beat.
Yeah.
Um, but it hasn't been to the point where, oh, I need to go see a doctor for it.
Okay. And how long have you noticed that it has a irregular beat?
It's sporadic. It's not all the time.
Okay.
It's not all the time. So
And have you ever been able to observe when it happens? Like when it happens, what's happening around you?
uh
You may not. But
more
it's
than
a question.
right, more than likely it's dealing with my family. Like
Okay.
dealing with stuff with my family or dealing with matters of the heart, matters of my heart, and dealing with men.
Okay.
You know,
So I'm
that.
just going to take a moment. I do feel drawn to deal with this chest area. And it feels, the chest also represents the sadness. This is where the sadness sits in the lungs as well. But I'm more than the lungs. I'm specifically getting the heart. So I'm going to do my process where I go in and I connect with your energy body and just try to navigate from there. So I'm going to just ask you to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and close your eyes and just relax for a moment as I connect with your energy body. Okay, you can open your eyes. So when I see you, I feel like I get the sense that you're like, imagine if a mother lost their child, lost them. They don't know their dad or anything. They lost them somewhere, said like in a crowd or something. And that mother was desperately going through the crowd. Where's my child? Where's my child? And the only reason I'm saying mother to child is because that's like the greatest example of like desperation, and desperation in the face of like potential loss. I feel like somehow energetically your energy is moving in that kind of way, like you lost something, and you've just been trying to find it or get it back, and you can't get it back, or you haven't been able to find it, and it's like that desperation. And so I want to ask you about that.
What have I lost?
Yes.
Basically, I've lost myself.
Okay.
And
So
so
when you say you've lost yourself, that definitely resonates. I feel it immediately shifts the energy to like there's an anxiety in the stomach. So let's try to get more specific. You've lost yourself, but let's get more specific. Like what
basically,
aspect?
I've lost myself in the world. I've lost my my belonging. Okay, can I just say this, kind of paint a picture?
Mhm.
Because I've been thinking about this for the past few days. In the third grade, I wrote a book, and the title of the book was Lost. Okay, and I'm like, what is this? And it was about me being lost in the forest or something, and whatever. In the fourth grade, I wrote a book about a missing bracelet. So basically, they were both talking about lost, being lost. And so I was asking myself, okay, what does this represent? In the third and fourth grade, you felt lost some kind of way. So lost in my family. That's kind of what came up. Is basically I don't have a place. Me, I don't have a place because I wasn't allowed to be myself. I was under a certain paradigm, under a certain parental guidance that I said I had to be this way, this way, this way. But that wasn't me. That wasn't my true self. So I feel like even now, as as I've, grown up and everything, I'm still in this certain family, certain city, what have you. But I still feel like I'm lost and like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Who am I supposed to be? Because it's like I'm trying to please everybody else except myself. So it's like when I try to do stuff for myself, I'm like, I just feel lost. So if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay. So when it comes to emotional healing, it's always going to be specific, meaning that the trauma that has built up this anxiety and this sense of sadness and loss and sadness, same thing, inside of you, it's a specific event that happened to you. It's not general. So one might feel like, oh, it's these general things, but it happened. Trauma happens in a moment of shock. So it means something had to happen either in this incarnation, and sometimes it goes back to past incarnations. Sometimes we bring these things in with us, and we keep recreating the scenario in this life, you know, especially since you're tracing it to such young years. But something happened, literally had to happen to you, for that trauma to kind of take its root, and for behavior to then initiate itself to where you create where you are running a certain program, creating a certain behavior that creates a certain cycle of experience in your life. So let's open our mind. You might have an idea of what loss means to you, but more often than not, I find when I go through this process with people, it's like a discovery, and it's like, Like it's something you just never would have, and you would never know that was the root of the issue. So always the healing is going to come from the root. So I want to ask you, let's back up a sec. When I say loss to you, loss, LOSS, not LOST. When I
Okay.
say LOSS, that's do free association. What comes to you? Like words, feelings, thoughts, experiences, memories, anything. What comes to you?
My voice,
Okay.
um,
Voice.
purpose, me. I lost. I've lost the true essence of me.
Okay. When you said your voice, that resonated. We're This is an odd question to ask, but it did come up as soon as you said voice. I almost wanted to ask you, were you ever strangled?
Not in this lifetime that I that I know of. I'm
It's
quite sure
okay.
a lot. You know what? You know what? Is there a possibility, not maybe physically being strangled, but somebody wanted to strangle me?
That's also
Because
possible.
okay, because I'll say this. Last week I had an emotion code, which is an energy modality, and my doctor said that uh, my nephew wanted to strangle me. He put a curse
Yeah,
on me.
because
And he wanted to strangle me.
immediately when you talked about laws and then your voice, those two things resonated. I could feel that those things were true. And when I followed the line, the question was, were you strangled? So it isn't always necessarily a physical strangling. It can also be an real energetic. The only thing is, if it's energetic, you had to have felt it somehow, like some way you knew that the person wanted to kill you, or wanted. I'm That's such an intense thing to say, but like people sometimes feel like that, like that
Hmm.
intense, like, oh, I just want to kill,
Right, right.
when we're enraged or whatever, somehow you felt that energy. And sometimes even just energetically we can become traumatized because just feeling the energy in our field shocks us. We never felt that before. We never, and then we're like scared. We can feel like
Hmm.
maybe this, even though this person is not physically harming me right now, maybe they will.
Right. And I
Did
felt that.
you?
Yeah,
Yes, that's what I'm asking you. Did you feel that?
yeah.
And from what age did you feel that?
This was just recently.
Okay.
Yeah, just recently.
But
Within the last year.
do you have a history with that person?
Well, it was a situation to where he was doing some stuff that wasn't right with my brother, and so we had to go in and basically we had an argument. I had an argument with my nephew, and so and we exchanged words, and basically it wasn't pleasant, and he took me to a place that I've never been, that I don't like to go to. He took me to a place of rage and to a place of anger, and where it was like, you know what, if you say one more word, if you touch me, it's going down, and it's not going to be pretty. And so he basically told me that you're not my auntie anymore. And, he basically said a bunch of words. So it was a very hostile situation, to where even the
So I want to ask you, this was a very hostile situation, but something tells me that there's a history, or maybe the word isn't history, that it's not the first time, meaning that situation triggered you, but it's not the first time you have experienced that energy. Meaning your reaction or the fact that he could get you that way, it's because there was already something there you know, that he was poking. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say to you?
It makes sense, but on one hand, I'm like, I don't necessarily have a history with him
No, it might
regarding
not be
this.
with him.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It may be with other men.
Yes, it can be
You
with someone
Oh,
else. Yeah.
you said the word man.
yeah, because I have an
Yes,
issue.
yes, and
That's my
I
issue.
do think this that the energy does go to men. That was another
Yeah,
thing I didn't say it out loud first, but it is energy coming from men. Yeah,
because
yeah.
oh wait
So
a
I
minute.
felt like, go on.
No, I was going to say. Remember, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember this, but we had when we were doing the detox, and you
Mm-hmm.
told me I had a program running in my head that men are going to kill me.
Yeah. Oh, I sort of remember. Yeah.
Right, and I so you may not remember that, but I remember that, and I had an incident where I was in a situation with a guy, and I'm thinking this guy's going to kill me. This guy, because you told me it was going to come up and it was going to play itself out, and so I'm just still like, okay, and so I still been doing my energy work and my work, and my doctor keeps telling me that Katina, you have a deep hatred. I mean, a deep hatred and anger for men, and I'm like. Consciously, I'm good, but it's the subconscious that's like, you know
Okay.
what?
Okay. So it's still, yeah, it's still, it's
It's
still,
deep. It's
it's like been coming, it's been coming, but it's not, it hasn't been totally removed yet.
right.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like, no, this is the line of questioning today. Yeah. This is the line of questioning today. Because I feel like the loss that I'm picking up and the pitter patter in the heart had something to do with being strangled, and I do think that is also related to how you feel about men. But
Mhm.
I do think something actually happened to you where you thought somebody was going to kill you. Actually,
But
but
was
I
it
don't
this
think you.
lifetime? Well, it
But
has probably.
I don't think you remember.
I don't. I don't. If I probably may have blocked it out because I'm good at blocking stuff out. So
Okay. All right. So even as I'm talking here, my whole solar plexus, my legs are being activated. So I know I'm in the right track. My solar plexus is activated. This is an issue of power.
yeah,
Somebody overpowered you, or you felt like you went into a confrontation, which became an issue of power with this in this situation, or somebody abused their power, this kind of thing,
can I
you
tell
know.
you? Can I tell you what that is?
Okay.
Okay. When I was younger, I don't remember what age. I probably maybe like 8, 9, or 10, or something like that. My mom was frying some fried chicken, and I think this has my issue with food as well. So my mom was frying some fried chicken, and I wanted the chicken breast. And my mama told me, no, you cannot have the chicken breast. That's for your dad. And so I was like, but I want the chicken breast. I want what I want, and I can't have it because my dad has to have the chicken breast. So I've thought about that for years, and I'm like, that was a power struggle. It was like I want what I want, and I can't have it because this man comes before me. And I was like, okay. And then I thought about it, I was like, maybe I didn't need the whole chicken breast. Maybe I just wanted a piece of the chicken breast. If she would have given me the piece of the chicken breast, then it wouldn't have been the whole. Because I think I felt when I say that now, it's like I feel like I was enraged that I couldn't get what I wanted at the time. So it was like that was the whole power struggle. That was back then.
Okay. But I still feel like something preceded that issue with the chicken breast, meaning the chicken representing you being able to have a piece of power. That was already a preconception that was built in you when you confronted your mom about the chicken breast, which means that something else, even before then, had been observing or taking in information, or you experienced or had a program already running, that meant that that thing represented power. Does
But
it make sense?
it makes
Which
sense,
means
but
that
I don't
something had
remember.
to, there had to be a moment when you realized, when you had the awakening, oh, I'm not as valuable as him, or somehow I don't have the same power this person does, or do you understand what I'm trying to, or
Mhm.
they can take, no, even I feel like, to the extent of, oh, they have the power over my life. This person has power over my life. They can kill me if they want to. That's almost the same. Ooh, I can feel the energy running. That's almost the same psychology of like enslaving someone. The slave master has the power over your life. You understand?
Mhm.
And while that may not have been the exact situation, energetically, there's something going on there that's like that. And so I'm almost want to ask you, I'm like, who or what was the situation where you realized, you had to have realized or been shocked when you realized that you were enslaved? Not literally, obviously,
Right.
but there had to be a moment where you realized, oh, I'm not free here. Like, maybe you had a confrontation or something happened, and you realized, you weren't on even grounds.
I think that kind of goes back to my religious background. That's kind of what I'm on a different level now, and so my religious background is kind of still back there saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be like this. You did the versus."
Okay, it's interesting you say that. The thing that's coming to me is this: it's a situation. What I'm seeing in my mind screen is a situation where it's a group situation. So there's many people there. You're picked out of the group, maybe for an example or whatever, um, or made an example of. Maybe it's not making an example of. You're the one that's picked out, demonstrated upon, and in the demonstration, there's like a shaming almost, like you're made to do something or something, um, and everybody's watching, and it's supposed to be the lesson to everybody. I don't know what, um, but somehow it feels shaming. I don't know. Does that resonate with you or not?
It does resonate, but that can be a number of things because that's kind of how I live my life. People shamed us, in groups. That's just the way,
May
you
I?
know.
Okay, let's
Oh,
talk about that. People,
oh, may I ask one
sorry.
question? Yeah. Does something come up with you that you feel like you don't necessarily want to share publicly?
No, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
good.
just checking.
I'm an open
I
book.
understand. Yeah,
All
this is
right.
kind of a touchy
Because,
subject.
because if that's the case, then you can just say, okay, I understand, but I just don't want, like, you don't have to share everything.
Right.
You
Yeah,
can
you don't have to say
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
I understand, but I don't feel comfortable sharing that publicly. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Mhm.
I'm good.
All right.
Yeah. So,
Do this.
but it's interesting, Katina, when you talked about the church, immediately what I saw, it's like a group situation. So I was like, what, what situation were you in where you were in a group and you felt shamed? And it may not even be obvious. It may not even have been like everybody thought that's what it was, but energetically, that's what it was. Do you understand?
Yes. Yes. Okay, in my religious background, if if a, if a person if a woman, if a female gets pregnant, they're brought before the church and they're basically, you know, shamed and what have you. This particular situation, it wasn't me that was pregnant, but it was my friend who was pregnant. And so then me and my other friends, went up there in support of her, but everybody thought that I was
Oh,
pregnant and I was fornicating. And so
Huh?
fornication is not good in itself
Oh my gosh.
when you're
No, no,
not
no. There's
married.
no. You're hitting something.
And so, years later, I found out people thought I was having sex, and I was like, at that time, I wasn't, but that's not their business. But I wasn't. But it was like people were like, you know, I guess like, oh my gosh, how could you up here sleeping with this person? And I was like, really, you know. So
So it's interesting, Katina, because even when you're speaking right now, you're kind of like, because it wasn't something you were actually doing, but I don't know if you recognize how traumatizing that was for you.
it was
Because when I
trying.
feel my body, when I feel my body is like vibrating
Wow,
from head to toe.
wow, it was traumatizing. But I mean, you just smile and keep going. That's how we're
Right. So I want you to really sit and kind of feel yourself, and I kind of you got kind of go through the process of accepting that that was actually horrifying. It was horrifying, not to make light of it.
right.
And why? Let's really look at it. Why was that so horrifying that they thought it was you? Did they outcast you? Like what was the result?
It really wasn't a result. It wasn't because I didn't know, I didn't know that they were doing that until like years later. I didn't know that.
I see. But when you went up there with your friend, why do I feel like on some energetic level, the shaming that was supposed to be coming, you felt it. It was like one and the same, even though it wasn't like it was you or her, but it was like you were going through that experience like as one with her.
Because she was like my best friend, one of my best friends at that time. I don't, and I was supporting her. So I don't, that's about all I got with that.
When you say supporting, what does that mean?
Just being there for her because it was traumatic for her because she was the pastor's daughter, which that's a whole nother thing. But let me say that what you said to her.
Like a background noise. I think it's from your side. Would you by any chance know what that is?
From me,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what that would be.
Alexa, can you mute yourself for a second, please? You don't have to mute. Oh, I have control here. Okay. Can you speak with Katina?
Okay, so I never lost
Oh,
myself.
Alexa, you the culprit.
Yeah.
I'm the culprit.
Yeah, you are.
What's going on? My audio.
Your
Okay.
background noise.
Oh,
I'm
that
Okay,
is
trying to
now
move around. I'm trying to move around, see if it gets better somehow.
okay.
okay.
Making sexy. Do you know Alexa used to be a model in Korea?
Oh wow, I believe it.
I just outed her.
I believe it.
I'm like, what
Sorry.
made you talk about that?
Sorry. Okay.
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 Shut up, Dehesa. All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Let me
Yeah.
I forgot exactly my line of thought I was gonna say, but
Oh.
can I say this? And maybe this has something to do with it. I don't know. But my mom she told me like before she passed away, she told me she said, she said, I need you to break the generational curse of having babies outside of wedlock.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow. So that's the loss. because I was trying to figure out in the situation, I'm like, what did you lose when you were shamed? Like, when, even though it wasn't you being shamed, but it was like, what was the loss? You know, you promised your mom. And even though it wasn't you, I feel like it profoundly affected, like it felt like by association. And that can happen by association. We experience trauma. So even though you weren't out there um, having sex and everything, it's like as if you were out there having sex and everything.
Wait, did this happen before or after your mom passed away?
My mom told me that before she passed away. Oh, this situation happened before she passed away.
Before, okay, so was she
But your
around?
mom had already
Yeah.
conveyed that idea to you.
Yeah.
She'd already conveyed that her wish to you, right? At that time.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Because she got pregnant outside of wedlock. And like every female in my family line has gotten pregnant outside of wedlock.
Mm.
Ooh. So what does that say? But do you see how this is connected to your anger around men? The female is blamed
Hmm.
always. The female takes responsibility. But in reality, when you look at your mom or your other relatives, what do you see about their situations with men?
The men were controlling, and the men had control over them, and the men used them and took advantage of them and hurt them deeply, but they didn't have a voice to articulate that, and they stayed with those men in that hurt, in that dysfunction.
And do you feel like you were able to keep your mom's promise or not? Even though you don't have a child out of wedlock, but by based on what happened with your friend energetically, do you feel like you were able to keep your mom's promise or not?
No, because I have fortificated. So, you know, no.
Can you feel that in your body? I can feel that. Dahasa can feel it.
I was like, whoa.
Because I was trying to get pregnant. When she passed away, I was trying to get pregnant because I felt that I had lost her and I needed a baby to fill that void, but I couldn't get pregnant.
I think you didn't really want to get pregnant as well.
Well, obviously, well,
Possible.
according to my doctor, my hormones and test, I had too much testosterone, and she's like, until I reverse this allergy, you'll never get pregnant. So it was a blessing that I did because I don't not want a child in all that crazy in an unhealed state. So it was a good thing, but I just look how things happen, and I'm like, okay, thank you. I just think I wanted something, but I really, I don't know.
So what I want to convey to you is that you really had wanted to stay pure according, for your mom, whatever that means. That was the program.
Hmm.
And you couldn't. Understand?
Hmm.
And I feel that perhaps energetically you felt like that was a fundamental betrayal of yourself.
Yeah.
You understand that you haven't really let go of yet.
Oh. Mm.
You know? who you really wanted to be. You wanted to be this person, didn't measure up to that. I haven't let go of that idea. In part because when you look at your family, and that can also fuel, the anger toward, it's going to fuel tremendous anger toward your family, because you're watching these repeated patterns, you know, over and over and over again, you know, and you couldn't fish yourself out of it. So it's a high bar of expectation you have for yourself. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And on some level, you can feel like I failed. I, 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 I lost the battle. I betrayed my people, my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just like a princess lost her kingdom or something, or you know.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and it can feel like you lost your people, you lost who you were, you lost your meaning, you lost yourself in that. So
And
there's a value for yourself. Um, there's a no. What I really want to say is there's a part of you. There's a purity you have that can never be betrayed. Actually, is there's part of your program that thinks you're not pure. You know, there's a purity that can never be betrayed, and that is not amenable to what you promise to people or anything. It's always there.
mm-hmm.
And for you, the key is being able to connect to that source of purity, that true self, not not a value based on failure, being able to succeed or fail, um, in your eyes or anyone's eyes, whatever it is. It's not really what it's about. Does it sort of make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like while your body's going through a release right now, what also needs to happen is for you to become strongly connected uh, to that pure energy, so that it can take the driving seat in your life. So until that energy becomes so strong, strong enough to where the other confusing lost energy um, takes the back seat, you can feel lost.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of where you're connecting. Because even I release this, I recognize that you're going to feel a void. You're going to feel empty. That's what you felt before. That's why you want to have a baby. That's why you need to really connect. Um, uh, I want to say like Chanchigun and Chamichimam, but which is like cosmic energy, but that's really like that's what you need to fill the void when we suffer losses. But I really feel like that's the root of your loss. I mean, I don't know if you can feel, but like from my heart all the way through my first chakra to my feet, it was like pouring out energy. Still
Wow.
is.
Mm-hmm.
Still is. It's interesting. I don't know, Dehesa, because I'm just noticing sometimes as we do energy work, in front of me, people's faces change. I'm
I,
watching through this broadcast, but Katina's face literally,
I saw that. Yeah.
changed.
Yeah, I saw
I
that.
don't. I'm like, is it just me?
No, it's not just you. Yeah, I saw that. And I can actually feel, I can literally, I could feel her energy. Like, it's so funny how I could feel when like, you pinpoint the real issue, like, oh, in my body. And then I could also feel, I'm going to put you on the spot. No, sorry. No, not really. I could also feel where some areas, like, it felt true, but like, it felt to me like Katina was kind of project, not accepting. Does it make
Yes.
sense, Katina?
Like, yeah, I would say so. I know when you were talking earlier, I took a big deep breath and I was like, I felt like I released,
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Your face changed. It's like right here also something changed. Yeah.
I got it out.
Interesting. For you though, very, very important. You need to do training. I think speak with the Hasa because that Chanchigun, that cosmic, that connection, so important for you. You have to know what that is, so then you know where to focus. Yeah, and not just feel avoid.
Remember last time we were having that conversation? Kind of, she almost got mad
Yeah.
at me. It wasn't almost. She actually got mad at me for a split second. This actually happens sometimes. But that's okay. I think you already know, anyways. I didn't have to tell you anything. I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
already know. Yeah, I think you already know. Yeah. So yeah. And it's so funny how even from the beginning, like the first thing that you said was you feel lost of connection with your true self. Which you realize, Yolesa, that at the end of the day we came full circle.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Isn't
That's how
that
it works.
amazing? Yeah, at the end of the day we came full circle. Yeah. So I think you already know. Like, no matter what the cause is, you already know. I think it's a matter of deciding,
You're
making
right.
a decision that right.
Well,
Yeah.
what I think is everything that we talked about today is what I've been processing in my head. So
Mm,
this is basically confirmation of, okay, this is where I am, this is where I need to go,
yeah. And it
because
doesn't work processing in the head.
say that again, Dehesa.
Processing in the head doesn't really work very
Right,
effectively. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Somehow. Yeah. I'm the queen of that, I know. I've tried many, many times. All right. Okay, good. So how did it feel to you?
Yeah.
I I feel lighter. I feel like a release, and I feel like a calmness, and like, you know what? It is what it is. Do what you got to do. Take action. Because I know what to do. Been doing it for years, but well, let's say I haven't been doing it, but I know what to do.
Yeah.
I haven't been consistently doing my energy work, so it
Yeah.
just all makes sense. So
And
I
if
also want to say to you, I want to say, Katina, the thing that was tricky that came out today was that actually in your mind, you had made light of a very serious situation.
mm,
You understand? I don't think you had fully appreciate what that experience had done. The experience that we finally got to had actually done to you. I'm not even
right.
sure you fully recognized how traumatic it was.
I
And
don't
so
I
I
don't think so
wonder
either.
in your life, because so many things you've gone through, so many things. Sometimes you make light of things.
Hmm.
So really open your heart to yourself and have a deep, deep compassion for yourself. Even the small things, the way you would for a child. Even the small things, they're crying. We hold them and we pick them up. We say it's okay because they're a child. You're the same way inside. Everybody is.
Hmm.
Not to make light of anything.
Okay. Right.
And that's why I think on some level your brain had not accepted. had not really accepted and gone through the processing of that information, because you've, oh, that's that, and you put it over there, like whatever, it, make light of it.
But that situation, I may have put it like that, but that enraged me, and I kept that rage inside, and I never really voiced that rage. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. So maybe it's a habit sometimes for you to make light of something, but that you're very enraged about.
and I don't
And then you
express
don't
my.
really allow yourself to process it,
Mhm.
which is a lot of people do that. It's like a comedy is a lot about that. So
Mhm.
a lot of times really funny people, if they're comedic, they're making light of stuff that really is very traumatic.
Right.
And that does not allow for the proper processing to happen. Because in a way, there's no acceptance. It becomes a resistance to accepting the reality of what that thing did to you. Yeah. That's why even though comedy is fun to watch, actually, comedy's not really healing.
It's suppressing. Just okay. Yeah.
It's a distraction.
Hmm.
Does it make sense?
Yes, total sense.
Okay.
That was a lot.
You have to breathe out.
That was intense. Yeah, that was
That
really,
was
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
always intense.
yeah, that
It's
was,
always
yeah.
intense.
Maybe the
That
one
was
people watching don't realize actually what just happened here, but I know Katina felt it, and
oh yeah.
definitely Eliza felt it, and I definitely felt it too. So yeah. So okay, you already said how you felt. You already said you read her. Do you notice her face keeps changing? Yeah,
Sorry?
her face is still changing. Do you notice that?
Yes, yes. It's called this whole thing. It's like she's changing.
Yeah, like I want to go back and rewind later and watch it again and see, like see what happened. Yeah,
I need to watch
Yeah.
it too.
Yes, you do. I was like looking at you and I was like, is it just me? Is it
yeah,
optical illusion?
yeah.
Or is her face changing?
So when you watch, tell us what you see. Like comment what you see. I want to know what you see.
Yeah.
when you watch it. Yeah.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Are you glad you did this?
I am glad because um it makes sense. Everything came full circle and it makes sense to something I've been processing for this past few days. It's like, okay, but one thing came up that I didn't even think about was the situation in church with that. I didn't connect all those dots,
Yeah.
but that makes sense.
And Eloise, did I say your name right? Eloise? Okay, Eloise says she said she felt it too, and now she has a headache. Any tip for her, Eloise?
So you just need to ground because there's a lot of energy moving. So
Yeah.
please focus on feeling your feet. Please focus on feeling your feet and breathing out through your mouth. Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna sound weird. The person's name you just called, it was Elois.
Yes, Eloise.
How do Eloise?
Yes,
Elois?
yes.
That was my grandmother's name.
Oh my
Oh my gosh.
God!
I have never heard that name before after my grandmother.
Oh my
Wow.
God!
Gosh.
I just got so many chills.
I know. It's like my grandmother was like, I'm here.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so I hope your lessons tip helps you, Eloise. Eloise.
Eloise, Eloise.
Eloise.
Yeah.
Eloise. Yeah, I hope it helps you. Okay. All right, so thank you so much for volunteering to do this, Katina. Uh,
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
you.
Yeah, and thank you so much for doing this, Yolesa. Did you have fun, Yolesa? Did you have fun doing this?
Oh yeah, this is always fun to me. It's always intense.
So
But at the end, you're just like, ah, it's all good.
okay, so Eloise,
Go eat a sandwich.
yeah, go eat a sandwich. Go eat a sandwich.
You need to eat afterward. Uses a lot of energy.
Yeah, it was a lot of energy. Yeah. Okay. Eloise says she's a medium.
Oh, wow.
Sorry?
Eloise says she's a medium.
Oh.
Yeah, that's probably why she was having a headache. She was tapping into this.
Yes.
Yeah. So please follow Yolesa's tip and it will help you, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. Are you complete, lady?
I'm complete.
You complete? Good. All right. Thank you so
And
much.
lighter.
Yeah, say that again. Complete and lighter.
And lighter.
And
Yeah.
lighter. Yeah, I can feel that. It's like I can feel like some lightness on your shoulders, as if something
Yes.
lifted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much, ladies.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming
You're
on.
welcome.
Thank you, we're doing this again
You're
on
welcome.
Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, on Friday we're doing this with Kimberly. One last time.
I'm excited. I want to see somebody else in the hot seat.
Did you feel like your seat was hot?
It was a
It
little
was a
warm.
hot
It was warm. You looked very comfortable. You looked at ease. You didn't look like you were nervous at all. So,
Yeah.
No,
welcome.
I'm good. Thank you, ladies, so much. So
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you.
You're
See you
welcome, dear.
later. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. And if you watch the replay, let us know what you think. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.